In response to potential election unrest and interference, a state's National Guard troops were just activated by the governor. Now, before we jump into this video, I want to tell you about one of the new sponsors and supporters of this channel, which is Home Title Lock. This sponsor can actually save you a lot of time, money, and honestly, a huge legal headache. I'm sure a lot of you are not aware that there is this big wave in a new kind of growing criminal activity that is targeting and stealing home titles without people even knowing. I decided to protect my home and my own home title through Home Title Lock. I've used their dashboard. It's very easy. It shows all the title activity. And really the best part is that if something does ever happen to you, their team over at Home Title Lock will handle the entire legal process and they will restore the title for you so you don't have to go through that headache. So I can't recommend them enough. It's super easy to use. And if you're interested, you can check them out using the link down below in the details section and also in the pinned comment. And right now they're offering you a free 30-day trial and a comprehensive title scan so that you can make sure that your property is actually safe. As I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we're going to be talking about some very interesting news, which is kind of leading into this election and in direct response about potential unrest and potential interference with this upcoming election. The governor of Washington just activated the Washington National Guard to potentially respond to any election unrest or any attacks on the election infrastructure. We all suspected that maybe there would be some sort of small pockets of unrest and maybe some issues because of the outcome of the election, one way or the other. Well, now you have a state acknowledging that there is a risk, that there's a risk of unrest, that there is potential unrest that is being reported, potential risks to the election itself and some infrastructure. And because of that, the governor in the state is taking preemptive actions to activate the National Guard to respond to any of those issues. This response by the state of Washington also is in direct response to reports that they have received from the Department of Homeland Security about potential issues. So not only are they kind of doing this on their own, but they got reports from the Department of Homeland Security that is saying there is an issue, there is risk, and therefore you need to take actions. Now, this letter was issued by Governor Inslee in the state of Washington, and it was sent to the National Guard in the state, and it was dated November 1st, 2024, and it was sent to Major General Gent Welsh. The title of the letter says, Activation of Washington National Guard Assets to Support Public Safety Activities Related to the 2024 Election. The letter states, Dear Major General Welsh, based upon general and specific information and concerns regarding the potential for violence or other unlawful activity related to the 2024 general election, I want to ensure we are fully prepared to respond to any potential additional civil unrest of the type described in RCW 38.08.040 occurring within Washington state leading up to, on, and potentially extending beyond November 5th, 2024, the date of the 2024 general election. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has warned that threats to election infrastructure during the 2024 election cycle remains high. The southwest region of the Washington state has already experienced specific instances of election-related unrest. On October 28, 2024, an incendiary device was set off in a drop box in Vancouver, Washington, damaging or destroying hundreds of ballots, and a similar device targeted a ballot box in Portland, Oregon. In response to that situation described above and the potential for further violence and illegal activity, I am directing the Washington State National Guard to prepare to provide critical public safety support by activating necessary Washington National Guard personnel in a standby status. In this role, the Washington National Guard will support local law enforcement and the Washington State Patrol as needed. It goes on to state that our state depends on these skilled individuals for critical support to protect the public health, safety, and welfare, to include support necessary to protect vital infrastructure related to carrying out the free and fair elections, and to respond to any unrest related to the 2024 general election. Preparation to respond to civil unrest of the type already experienced will also require state-level coordination and the activation of additional support functions within the Washington's emergency management system. Under RCW 38.08.040, I am authorized to order the Washington National Guard or any part thereof into active service of the state to perform such duty as I deem proper when required for the public health, safety, and welfare, and to prepare for events described in RCW 38.08.040. I find that such preparation and this activation of the Washington National Guard is required now for the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare of the state of Washington and its agencies and the people they serve. Therefore, I, Jay Inslee, Governor of the state of Washington, pursuant to that RCW, and in response to the above reference requests, and believing such action is necessary for preserving public health, safety, and welfare, order into temporary active state service for up to 4 days beginning Monday, November 4th, 2024, as many members as the Washington National Guard as may be necessary and deemed appropriate for the circumstances described above in the opinion, to support public safety efforts related to the 2024 election, as well as activation of support functions within Washington's emergency management system. The order of activation expires at 12:01 a.m. on November 8th, 2024. Yours very truly, Jay Inslee, the governor of the state of Washington. So that's the letter that was sent out by the state governor to the National Guard there for the activation of troops and support, which will be on standby from Monday all the way until November 8th. And they're standing by to support if there's unrest or any other type of election issues. Now, in the press release released by the governor of the state of Washington, he stated that today Governor Jay Inslee activated some Washington National Guard members to be on standby in the event they are asked to support local law enforcement and the Washington State Patrol during the election week. This is a purely precautionary measure taken in response to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's nationwide warnings regarding threats to election infrastructure and other recent activities that have occurred in Southwest Washington. So that was the press release sent out in response to this letter. And now Welsh, the National Guard general there, who oversees over 8,000 soldiers and various airmen in the Washington National Guard, will now determine and decide how many he wants to activate and have on standby during this week during the election. There is also the potential that if something does happen, that the activation could be extended beyond just the expressed days that have been mentioned in the press release and also in the letter. Now, of course, this is concerning, and in some regard, it's very concerning because you have a state that felt that there was enough risk to the election and enough potential for unrest that they are preemptively getting a response ready. They're activating troops of the National Guard to respond to any issues. And this is also concerning because here they are responding directly to something that they were notified by the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security sent them some sort of notice and information about potential unrest and election issues, and because of that, they are taking direct response. This is also concerning in some ways in light of the discussions that we've had going on around the DoD Directive 5240.01, which allows the DoD intelligence components to assist local and state law enforcement during unrest and issues where there's potential lethal force being used by local law enforcement or state law enforcement against civilians, potentially authorizing lethal force and the use of federal assets in those situations. And also concerning within that directive, there are permissions where for 72 hours during an exigency, during something like unrest, that federal component, the intelligent component, can move and assist state and local law enforcement without the required authorization from the Secretary of Defense. Eventually, they would need to get that authorization, but they, for 72 hours, can act on their own. Now, I highly doubt that the DoD directive would be used in any situation like this one, but generally it is concerning that you have a governor here acknowledging that there is potential unrest within his state in regards to the election, that there is potential issues about the infrastructure for the election and people trying to, use incendiaries and light up ballots and try to interfere in some way with them, and then just general issues at large about unrest. And who knows how many other states will try to do the same thing, will have a lot of National Guard on standby or take some sort of action. Who knows, what other states have been notified by the Department of Homeland Security that they also have issues within their own state. So I know everyone's kind of unsettled about the upcoming election and you have concerns. Please stay vigilant and make sure you get out and vote, because every vote matters. Don't think that your vote is useless. We need as many votes as possible right now. So make sure you, your family, your friends, and everybody you know gets out and votes. Now, if anything else develops in regards to this type of action, the National Guard or Washington or the states, I will let you guys know. Also, if you like this video and you like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of two-way news. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.